How do you eat to get strong and maintain your desired body composition? Today, I've got a few nutrition professionals that are going to break it down for us. Let me bring in the team here, unsolo myself. So there we go. We got Justin, we got Gab, and we've got Paige joining us today. And she is pretty strong. So she's going to tell us. We had a previous episode where she talked about a little bit about the why she gets strong, but now she's going to tell us about the how to do it. Give us like the practical way to eat to get strong. So Paige, thank you for being with us today. And so just start with the basics, I guess. Like how are you going to, how to calculate the right amount so that we're getting strong, but also at the same time, most people want to maintain a desired body composition. So how do we do that without adding a bunch of body fat at the same time?
For sure. So when I'm calculating someone's calories or how much food they should have, I use an activity multiplier. So on a very, very basic standpoint, I would take the person and take their body weight in pounds, and it's times their body weight by either 14 to 16. That's for average, like a very, very average amount of physical activity. So there's different levels of that, but I'm just going to give you the averages for now. And so for women, I put them closer to the 14, and for men, they're closer to 16. So for me, it would be 130 pounds, but times 14. And then from there, I take that calorie level and I first figure out how much protein they need. And I use 0.7 all the way up to maybe 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. So I figure out that first. And then I do their fats, and it's about 30% of total calories is fats. And then the remainder of the calories that I haven't accounted for yet is their carbohydrates. That's like the most simple way I could describe it. That's just like a mini crash course. But keep in mind, there's a lot of nuance to that. And there's different levels of activity. There's different history. There's their individual body composition, the type of activity that someone's doing. But that's just like how anyone could just figure out their baseline. So that's like how many calories you would need just to maintain your weight and get healthy. And then from there, if I wanted to gain or get stronger, I would calculate a 10 to 15% increase and give them a 10 to 15% surplus from that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then when you're calculating and adding in an increase at that point, how do people get through the mental side of it? Like, how do you coach someone through the mental side of like having to eat more, right? Because everything in a lot of the, fitness industry and a lot of our world, right, is really focused on eating less. So how do you get through that mental side of it?
Yeah, it's a really good question. We talked a lot about this prior, but it takes a lot of coaching. This is where like one-on-one coaching gets so helpful because you have the support and you have a cheerleader essentially beside you being like, it's going to be okay. Like, we got you. But we've just been conditioned for so many years to eat less. And like, it's normal for women to eat 1,300 calories and then they're trying to grow their booty and they're wondering why it's not working. But you need that fuel to regenerate new tissues, right? So it's just a little bit of education. Like, hey, this is actually what it takes. And it takes more food for a longer period of time. And then there's just like a lot of support. Like, it's like education, support, coaching, mindset. Like, you can do this. It's going to be okay.
Yeah. Gab, do you encounter that a lot with clients where they struggle with wanting to like accept that they have to eat more if that's their goal?
Yeah. And I think there's like a fallacy where it's very easy to understand from an intellectual perspective. Like, yes, of course, you need more calories to grow tissue. But then from a personal place, it's also easy to be like, but not me. If I eat more, it's going to end badly. And so for people to really get people to understand, like, in the nicest and most supportive way possible. Like, you are not special. You are the same as everybody else. This is how we do it. It is tried and true science, and I promise you are going to be really happy with your results. But there's a level of trust that comes with that. And so I think Paige is exactly right. Like, coaching requires a connection and a relationship where you really trust the person that is putting you on this path. And if you follow the right steps, then you're going to be successful.
Nice. Well, so this is probably a good opportunity then to let you know that there is a link in the description. So these things that Paige and Gab are talking about, if you want to learn more about what CBG can do for you in those situations, then click that link and let us learn how CBG can help you out with that. So Justin, one more thing kind of about this mental side of things is what about like on the athlete side of, the athletes that you've worked with? Have you had any, now you don't have to give me the specific names or anything, but have you ever had any issues with athletes where you like give it to them because they're performing, right? They're all performance and they're kind of like, wait a minute, I don't know if I want to eat more. Like have you ever gotten resistance from them?
Yeah, that's a good question. All the time, especially during competition, right? I would say most of them, some of them do have that dichotomy between like the body composition side versus eating more, right? Very much like everyday regular clients that we work with. But more often than not, they just don't want to eat more because they don't feel like it.
Yeah.
When you're training at that intensity level and for multiple times throughout a day, or even, through a competition, blood is not rushing to your stomach to help with digestion, a lot of the other processes, right? It's going to active working muscle tissue so that it can help recover those tissues. And so therefore your stomach doesn't feel that brain connection to eat more, even though your body needs more, or any of those other signals that, we experience when we're in our parasympathetic nervous system state, right? And so if you're an athlete that like is not forcing yourself to eat more whenever you're in competition, like it feels easy. It's like, oh, this is so easy to eat more. You're not eating enough. And so that's where I have to come in and imagine me saying, Danielle Brannon, that's not enough.
Take another bite.
You got to eat another one. Like, will you eat this right now? Will you do it? And yeah, it's not, yay, Justin, thank you so much. Right. So you can imagine what that looks like, but that's what I'm there for, like during competition with some of those things, So yeah, it happens with high level, games athletes too.
Interesting. All right. Last thing, Paige, for you is, so how do people, or how should people set their expectations for the results that they're going to see? Like the timeline, like if I start eating more, am I going to PR my deadlift next week? Or, like what should I expect?
Yeah, that's a really good question, what you should expect, because it's like we have unspoken expectations, and that's usually where the frustration comes in, right? People expect to not see the scale increase, and they get really frustrated when that happens. And I think it's also this conditioning that more weight equals something bad. It's like actually more weight could equal more muscle. So having realistic expectations about the scale. And then also having realistic expectations about just your energy levels and what's possible in the gym is really important. Yeah, did I answer your question? Can you rephrase that one?
That's good. So yeah. So, then kind of like, I guess, to wrap up then is if there's probably, a couple reasons why, if you're someone that's not, that wants to get stronger and isn't, or someone that's wanting to make muscle gains, and as Paige said, grow that booty, and it's not happening, then, there's it seems like there's very specific reasons why that's not happening. And one of those is you probably aren't eating enough. So, if you want help from professional coaches like Gab or Paige. Paige is really into Olympic lifting. So if you want to lift heavy things, Paige can help you out with that. So if you want more help with that, then click the link in the description. CBG can help you out. You can also find the Instagram there too. And, Justin's doing all kinds of stuff on Instagram, giving away ebooks and all kinds of free stuff. So check that out too. But that's all we got for you today, folks. Paige, thank you so much for stopping in and, giving us those little tidbits. And so there you have it. For Justin, for Gab, for Paige, I'm Joel, and we're telling you to quit tracking those macros. Eat more if you want to get strong, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.
This all works because, do you track macros?
No.
Neither of us track macros. It's working out pretty well.
Say so. Especially for you.
Sure.